The most important issue facing evangelicals, the issue of religious conscience. In the past few years, we have seen in my opinion, serious encroachment in our First Amendment right. I'll give you an example. The Obama stipulated HHS mandate, prompting Catholic university hospitals and even certain non-for-profits that have a religious foundation to have to offer health services, even health services that run counter to the theological worldview. It's an issue of religious conscience. I think that's critical. On the Hispanic side, there's another set of issues. Issues regarding immigration reform, issues of employment, issues of poverty. The poverty rate has increased in a very serious manner in the past 4 years. The housing market impacted disproportionately the Hispanic American community. Education in the Hispanic community, to me, is a travesty. Close to half of our kids, 50% of our kids, never graduate from high school. This is a 50 million strong demographic, and half of our kids are not graduating from high school. That's a serious collective national issue that we need to consider if this community may reflect in many areas the future of America. I support President Obama as it pertains to immigration reform. I believe he wants to pass comprehensive immigration reform, and I believe it's a genuine commitment. I've worked with him on the issue. I've met with him and discussed it with him and believe that he is very sincere as it pertains to immigration reform. Nevertheless, the preferable choice would have been for the president to have worked with Congress in his first 2 years, particularly in the first 2 years when the Democrats held control of both the House and the Senate. That did not take place. Now, the president did make a decision via executive fiat, the Deferment Act, which I believe, again, a preferable choice, the utopia would have been for it to have taken place via legislative means and policies. But it came via the conduit of executive fiat. Nevertheless, the objective, the end game, was a win. During the primaries, Governor Romney referenced self-deportation. The rhetoric that came out of the Republican primary was very anti-immigrant, in my opinion, via de facto or de jure, by consequence, anti-Latino. Ever since Governor Romney received the nomination, and I don't mean formally, just recently, but I mean the moment we knew he was the man, he's turned the page. I give him credit for that. I'll give you examples of that. His speech at NALEO, the National Association of Latino Elected Officials, spoke to a new narrative. I call it redeeming the narrative in immigration reform. His comments immediately after President Obama issued a Deferment Act for young people, the DREAM Act in essence. And Governor Romney could have said, this is completely wrong. What he said is, if I'm elected president, I will give these young people a permanent solution. I'll help them out in a definitive manner, not just temporarily. Wow. So I commend Governor Romney for taking positive steps forward on immigration reform. Hispanics are very difficult to pigeonhole in one political camp because they have some values that come out of the Republican Party, or better yet, they come out of their faith, and the Republican Party affirms them. But they also have like some things in the Democrats too, the care of the poor, the issues of justice. So basically, the Hispanics are going, we would love to take the best out of the Republican Party, reconcile it with the best of the Democratic Party, and see a new movement emerge in America. We've always been a nation of faith. Faith has always played a significant part. The founding fathers, their forefathers came to this country primarily for religious freedom, if not for economic freedom. It was always about freedom. So you can't extrapolate, you can't extract faith from the public sphere. Not in America. You can do that in Europe. You can't do it in America. We've always have been, we are, and we always will be a community of faith. It's just part of who we are. And I think it's just an exciting time. Here we are. We may very well be electing a Mormon president. There's a possibility of that. But isn't that amazing? 21st century America. And then a Mormon president with great evangelical support. To me, I think it's just a great story of how much we've matured. That we are conveying to a world that is a world that's fighting with religious totalitarianism in many portions of the Middle East and now in segments of Africa. And we're conveying a message that the antidote to religious totalitarianism is religious pluralism, religious freedom. And America embodies that. So I celebrate it. I think the more now, what I don't ever want to see, what I get concerned with, is when faith marries politics. I don't think faith should ever marry politics. I think faith should be independent from politics. I think it's our job to speak into politics and to get away and come back home. I think the moment we marry DC, then corruption steps in. So I want us to be an independent prophetic voice.